Oh, I got somebody on live. Hello there. Excuse me there. I am working on something. All right, let me grab another engine. I've got lots of trackmaster engines. I got 8 Thomas Trackmaster 2 engines. Oh, I've got like 8 Trackmaster 2 Thomases and 2 Trackmaster 2 Percys and 2 Gordons. Yep. Like different versions of them, like Gordon and then Gordon Shooting Star. Yep. I've also got yeah, I've like kind of over 20 Thomas Trackmaster 2 engines, which will be part of the live stream. Alright, so hey everybody, welcome to my second live stream. I'm sorry, I'm just working on a few things, but overall, yeah. So in this live stream, I'm gonna do I'm gonna have like Thomas and Friends Trackmaster Trains, and I'm also be talking about, well, yesterday I saw Big World Big Adventures, the movie on Nick Jr., and I saw it again this morning on Nick Jr. This morning I had it on record. So, I'll be talking about Big World Big Adventures, and I'll talk about my thoughts on the other Thomas movies because well, what happened was when Big World Big Adventures was coming soon, I decided to, well, thought I'd rewatch the other Thomas movies, and I'll tell you all about it. But first, we're gonna have like some Trackmaster engines come and go. So yeah. Let me get this up and we'll bring out another engine. I'm gonna bring 2 engines out. We'll have Percy right here. And then we're gonna get Diesel. See which, oh, Percy's faster. Yep. Alright. Go. Got 3 watching right now, and one of them has comments. So that's pretty cool. We're gonna have Percy go over to the sighting. We're gonna have a couple up to And now I've got 2 watching. So, anyways, yeah. I'm gonna be talking about the Thomas and Friends movies right now, starting off with. Hold on, actually, let me get one of my trackmaster engines to stop. Alright. There we go. So without further ado, let's talk about the Thomas and Friends movies. So, starting off with Thomas and Magic Railroad. So, my thoughts on Thomas and Magic Railroad. I thought this movie was good, and I know this movie did not get a lot of respect, but overall, I seem to love it, and I've seen some reviews on Amazon saying that the kids loved it. Yeah. So, yeah, I think this movie is pretty fantastic. I think it was a brilliant idea to have, like, some other voice actors voice the model trains. Yeah, which, that's pretty cool. With the narrator, he also, like, in seasons 1 through 11, he has, like narrators like Ringo Starr, George Carlin, Alec Baldwin, Michael Brandon, Michael Angelis. Yeah. They, voice the characters too, like, in order to tell the story. Anyways, back to the Thomas and Magic Railroad. Yeah, I thought the cast was pretty good, like Alec Baldwin, Mara Wilson, Pierre Fonda, and Diesel 10 made a great antagonist in this movie. So yeah, overall, I think this movie was pretty good. Oh, and also what we're gonna do is I'm gonna also be ranking them from worst to best. See, and I'm gonna be talking about the movies in order. I'm not actually gonna start from worst to best. So anyways, Thomas and Magic Railroad. Anyways, I'm gonna talk a bit more about Thomas and Magic Railroad. When I first saw this movie, I was like, man, this movie is pretty good. And Britt Allcroft, I'm surprised. When I first heard that Britt Allcroft first voiced Lady, I was a bit surprised. Well, Britt Allcroft is the creator of Thomas. So, overall, the story plot was pretty good, and great adventure in that movie. So, I'm gonna rank it around. So, some of you may or may not know where I'm gonna rank it to, and I'm definitely ranking it on my number 1. Now, I'm gonna put like the initials, like Thomas and the Magic Railroad, just like that. I'll put it on my number 1 because this is an absolute amazing. It's brilliant. I love Thomas and the Magic Railroad. It's a movie that I grew up with, and a movie I could watch over and over and over again. Just be fascinated by it. Yep. So anyways, that's Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Now we move on to Calling All Engines. Now, I know a lot of people did not like this one, and Calling All Engines, this was released on 2005, the year that's to celebrate 60 years of Thomas. Yeah, but this one is not the 60 years anniversary one. This is the Lionsgate one. Anyways, yeah. I mean, I have a few things I liked about this film. I grew up with this film as well, and I really liked how they brought back Lady and Diesel 10 back, and even though people have complained about Diesel 10, the way they changed him, like, oh my goodness, what did they do to you, Diesel 10? And all that stuff. Yeah. Although, some songs in there were pretty good, and to be honest, I really liked this one. Yeah. And it may not be the best, but it's still good. Not as good as Magic Road, but I think it's pretty nice, pretty decent. So I'm going to rank it at number 13. Oh, and also, number 1 would be the best. I forgot to tell you, like, the numbers. Like, number 1 for the best, 2 through 5 being awesome, 6 through 9 being the great, 10 through 13 being the good, and 14 being the worst. So, Calling All Engines, I'm going to rank it at a 13. Calling All Engines. So now we move on to The Great Discovery, which, man, this movie is pretty good. I gotta say, I got a couple things I like to say about this film. The Great Discovery. I liked how they did Pierce Brosnan as the guest narrator in this film, and Stanley was a great character in this film, and I loved how they combined like the standard gauge, narrow gauge, and the oh yeah, Jack in the Pack. Yeah. When I got this movie, when I had this movie and I first watched it, I was like, man, this movie is so good. It's got great action and it's great soundtrack to it. This movie is pretty amazing. And I think I was around second grade when I got this. I was watching it over and over and over again. So good. Anyways, I'm gonna rank it at number 5. So that's Great Discovery. And I'm gonna get another engine to run. And the characters I have are, like I said, I have a bunch of different versions of Thomas. And I've got 2 Percys, 2 Gordons, and I've got the original Steam Team like Edward, Henry, James, Toby. We'll have the Flying Scotsman run again. Run. And we're gonna have him going. And then I guess we'll bring out one more engine. We'll have Diesel 10. There we are. Alright, anyways, next up is Hero of the Rails. The first ever film that has been in fully CGI. So, I got a couple things I'd like to say about Hero of the Rails. Now, I heard some other reviews saying that a lot of people did not like this one, but it feels like I'm hearing mixed thoughts because I've heard some people on YouTube saying that they actually like this film. Yeah, plus I do too. Yeah, I really liked how they got like some animation going on, and they got some voices for the engines and other characters in this film. I was just so amazed by the story plot and everything. It's pretty good. And Spencer made a great antagonist in this film. It's just so good. Yeah. So, let me bring out my board. So, Hero of the Rails, I'm gonna rank it at number 8. And then we move on to Misty Island Rescue. Now, Misty Island Rescue, I know people say this is the worst Thomas movie because, well, they did not like Bash, Dash, and Ferdinand, the Logging Locos. This one's Bash and Dash and Ferdinand. Yeah. But I got a couple things I liked about it. One, I liked how Thomas went on to a Misty Island adventure, and how he find his way out with the help of his new friends. So overall, I think this movie's good. And it may not be the best, but oh, hold on, Diesel 10 off the track. Oh, and there comes Flying Scotsman. Let me put Diesel 10 right there, and we'll put Flying Scotsman onto the siding. All right, and we'll have Merlin. Anyways, oh yes. Yes, Misty Island Rescue. We are gonna rank this we'll rank it at number 12. Misty Island Rescue. Now we move on to Day of the Diesels. Now, hold on. Right, thank you, that guy's Will VR. Anyways, Day of the Diesels. I gotta admit, I did not like this one. When I first watched this movie, it felt like it was a bit odd because, well, of course, we got Thomas and Percy. We've got like Thomas had to show like Belle and Flynn around the island of Sodor, and then Percy is all left behind and he has no one to talk to, and so Diesel invites him to the Diesel Works to meet Diesel 10, and also on Misty on Rescue, Diesel 10 made a comeback in that film, which that was one of the parts I liked about Misty on Rescue is Diesel 10 made a comeback in the epilogue Misty on Rescue, and if you've seen Misty on Rescue, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyways, back to Day of the Diesels. Yeah, this movie was the worst. I think it's the worst Thomas movie because I was like confused. Like, people, why do we have Percy the main character? Why can't Thomas and Percy both be main characters in this film? I mean, everyone should know Percy can't carry a movie on his own. Well, the show is called Thomas and Friends. That's what the franchise is, Thomas and Friends. I mean, why can't they have like two characters as the protagonists, like Harold and George and Captain Underpants, the epic movie. Anyways, this movie, I mean, there was a few things I liked, but it's definitely not an entertaining one. So I'm gonna rank it at number 14. I think Day of the Diesels is the worst Thomas movie. And if some of you guys liked this movie, but hey, everyone has their own opinion. Which leads us to Blue Mountain Mystery. And I gotta tell you guys, this film is definitely way better than Day of the Diesels. The reason why I like this film, I liked how they introduced 5 of the narrow gauge engines like Skarloey, Renee, Sirhandle, Peter, Sam, Rusty, and the new characters in this film were good. And the characters that are introduced in this film, like Luke, Owen, Merrick, and Winston. Yeah. And this plot, it had like Thomas trying to find the yellow engine because Luke, because Luke has knocked the yellow engine into the sea when he first arrived on the island of Sodor. So Thomas tries to find the yellow engine and to make Luke happy. So overall, I think the story plot in this film was good, and then Diesel was the antagonist again. So, Blue Mountain Mystery, I'll rank it at a 9. Blue Mountain Mystery. Yeah. Anyways, we'll take a break on the movie talk and have some engines go around. And come to think of it, I'm going to have some more engines. Let's see, we're going to remove Flying Scotsman right there. And more Merlin. Yep. We're going to have Jungle Thomas, and he's going to pull Ace and the Snake. And there we go. And then we're going to have Harvey, and he's going to pull the branch shredder. And we'll have one more engine. We're going to have, let's get, very good, Thomas. We'll have Samson, and he's going to pull, we're going to have him pull some coaches. And there we go. Alright, the Jungle Thomas is pretty fast. So, we're going to have another engine. We'll have James. James come out. Then he's gonna pull an express coach, which is one of the Tomica engines. Cannot even talk. Hold on, let me slow down James so Samson can come on through. We're gonna have Andy stop, then Mike. Alright, Samson, you need to stop right now. And then we're gonna have Streamline Thomas. He's gonna pull 2 cars. Alright, we're waiting. Oh. Yeah. All right, we're at 23 minutes and 20 seconds. Anyways. I was gonna stop on the engines. Anyways, they can keep going. Anyways, back to movie talk. Thomas and Friends movie talk. Anyways, next movie is King of the Railway. So, what I liked about King of the Railway, it has introduced the storyteller Mark Morgan, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name. If some of you do know how to pronounce his last name, please let me know in the comments. Go right there. Anyways, yeah, King of the Railway. I really like this one because, well, the animation is made by Arc Productions, and hold on, give me a sec. So what I liked about this film, yeah, is it's got some new animation by Arc Productions, and the story plot was pretty good, and it was the story was about like the Earl of Sodor wanted to restore Ulstead Castle, and it's got like some new engines working there, like Millie and Steven. And I gotta say, this film is just pretty good. I really like this one. So, I'm gonna rank it at... I'm gonna rank King of the Railway at... I think I'll rank it at a 10. And then we move on to... Oh! Hold on. Mike has been derailed again. I'll have another engine to go. I'll get the shooting star to go along with Thomas. Okay, wait, and proceed. So, now, Tale of the Brave. There's a couple things I liked. One, it has a pretty nice soundtrack. The other is that the story plot and some action in this film. It's pretty good. I really like how they did all that. And there was one thing that made me really happy. Is that Thomas and Percy were both main characters in this film, which is exactly the part that I wanted in Day of the Diesel. Oh, there's... Oh! Uh-oh. Well, derailed. Maybe we'll have one engine go. We're gonna have, we'll have Steven the Rocket, and he will pull these two coaches. There we go. Anyways, sorry for that. Anyways, Tail the Brave, I really enjoyed this one, and I'm happy that Thomas and Percy were both main characters. Thank you, Hit Entertainment. And why couldn't they do that in Day of the Diesel? Let's just have Thomas and Percy both be main characters in Day of the Diesel. And so, and James was the antagonist of this film because he was teasing Percy about being a scaredy engine. Well, the story plot was Thomas wanted to know what made these footprints, and Thomas and Percy thought there were monsters on Sodor. Well, Percy thought there were monsters on Sodor, and Percy gets scared, and James keeps teasing Percy about being the scaredy engine, and so James made a scrap monster to make monster to frighten Percy. So overall, this film was pretty good. The actions in it was pretty nice. So overall, this is a good one, and I'm gonna rank it at 11. Of the Brave. Now on 10, 11, I couldn't decide which one I liked. I like King of the Railway or Tail of the Brave better, because, well, I liked King of the Railway. King of the Railway was pretty good, and the new characters were pretty nice. And well, I love all the characters, whether if it's old or new, you know. Anyways, Tail of the Brave, I like the action in this film, and everything was pretty good. Anyways, now we move on to the next movie. And that film is... Hold on. Actually, I got some things I need to do real quick. So anyways, the next film is The Adventure Begins. Now, a lot of people love this one, and I do too. This is a really great film because it was a recreation of... Oh! Flynn, who's derailed? Let me grab another engine. We'll get Henry, and we'll have Stevens hit the brake. We're gonna get this Thomas to go. Anyways, The Adventure Begins. I really love this one because it was a recreation of the Railway series, the two Railway series books, which are called Three Railway Engines and Thomas the Tank Engine. And it was also a recreation of the first 7 episodes of Thomas and Friends in season 1. And there was some characters that were introduced in this film, surprisingly, like Judy and Jerome and Glenn. Yeah, this film was pretty good, and there were some songs that were recreated or remake of it, like Rayleigh's Fungin' and Troublesome Trucks song. So yeah, this film was pretty good. If you haven't seen this film, this movie is a must-watch. It is pretty good. Yep. So I'm gonna rank it at number 3. The Adventure Begins. Yeah. Got 3 more films to go, and then we're gonna talk about Big World, Big Adventure soon. Oh, look at that! Thomas is being pushed by Salty. Oh, Salty, derailed. We're gonna have another engine go. We're gonna have the regular board. All right. So the next film we're going to talk about is Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. Now this film, it is amazing, you guys. I really love this film because, well, this one has lots of more action, and what's awesome about it is that the three small engines, Bert, Mike, and Rex, they're now been introduced in the TV series. They used to be the Railway series only characters, but now they're part of the TV series, which is pretty awesome. What I loved about this film is, of course, the introduction of three Railway engines in the TV series, and I also liked the action in this film. And this film, it's pretty good, and I think it was a little bit better than Adventure Begins. And I know some of you guys are like, "What? How can you say this is better than Adventure Begins?" Well, I'm sorry. It's my opinion, and I think this film, it's pretty amazing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Adventure Begins. I love The Adventure Begins, but yeah, I think this film was pretty awesome. And this came out the same year as Adventure Begins. Oh, there's gonna be a crash. Uh-oh. Let me get some other engines to go. We'll have Edward and Ashima. The Hyperglow Ashima, and then the glow-in-the-dark Edward. Two engines that can glow in the dark. So, yeah, this one is Sodor's Legend of Lost Treasure. I think this film is a must-watch. And it's still available at Target, the DVD. I have the Blu-ray. Anyways, yeah, I know where I'm going to rank this. I'm going to rank it at number 2. Yep. And the characters that introduced, Ryan, Skip, and Sailor John, are pretty good in this movie. Yep. So now we've got 2 more movies, then we'll talk about the new Thomas movie. Anyways, next film is The Great Race. Now I heard a lot of people did not like this film, but I honestly like this one because I liked how it's like a musical, and then and I liked how they streamlined Gordon, and Gordon became the shooting star. And the Flying Scotsman returned in this film was absolutely amazing, and the characters, there's like a lot of new characters. Oh no, Ashima crashed. Alright, we're gonna have another engine to go. Or how about we'll have Edward pull some freight cars. We're gonna have Edward pull 2 Trackmaster 2 vans and 1 Tommy mail car. And we are going to have Ace's flatbed. And on the way. Alright, so back to The Great Race. Yeah. What I love about it is, well, some people say, like, why couldn't this be called The Great Railway Show? Well, it's called The Great Race. They couldn't just make, like, I mean, I know they made, like, a big title, Sodor's Legend of Lost Treasure. But anyways, I think this film is really pretty enjoyable, and the soundtrack's pretty good. One of the songs was okay, but overall, I think this film is pretty fantastic. So I'm gonna rank it at I'm gonna rank it at 7. The Great Race. Now we move on to the last movie that I have on DVD. Anyways, Journey Beyond Sodor, which is last year's Thomas and Friends movie. Yeah. There's a couple things I loved about Journey Beyond Sodor, and this was made by Mattel Creations. So, what I love about Journey Beyond Sodor, I liked how Thomas was going on a big adventure to the mainland, and then he ends up at a steelworks with Frankie and Hurricane. Wait, well, Frankie and Hurricane work at the steelworks, yeah. And the story plot was James was bragging how Sir Thomas has favor, and then Thomas gets jealous, and then he started to do the job that James was supposed to be doing, like pulling the freight train to Burlington Goods Yard. Yeah, but he ends up lost, and he ends up in the steelworks. And overall, I think the story plot was pretty good, and the characters, like the 3 experimental engines, and then Frankie and Hurricane. And this film is pretty good, and it's pretty enjoyable one too. And plus, the difference is that the engines and the freight cars, they bounce just like the ones you saw in Chuggington. Yep. So Journey Beyond Sodor, I'm gonna rank it at 6. Journey Beyond Sodor. All right. So later we'll talk about the new movie Big World Big Adventures. We're gonna have the engine check around. Oh, let's have Edward go climb the steepest hill. Or steep hill. Alright. That's Edward. Okay, now I got some trackmaster engines lying around. So we are going to have, let's pull out some engines that I did not do, or are not on the track in this live stream. So we're going to have Emily, we're going to have Spencer, and Philip. Oh, there's been an accident. Oh, uh-oh. Alright. How about last engine standing wins? Let's see, how far? Oh, 40 minutes? Okay. Give me 1 second here. All right. So we're gonna have, we'll have like a little competition going on. We're gonna have all the Trackmaster 2 Thomases. oh. Okay. These two Thomases have tied. So anyways, enough of that. So, now we're going to talk about Big Roll, Big Adventures. Hold on, let me put Journey Beyond Center down. So now we're going to talk about Big Roll, Big Adventures. Now, what I loved about this film, yesterday when I saw this, I was totally amazed. And I thought it was a good idea to have, like, Thomas the Tank Engine go around the world. And in that movie, well, how it all started is that Thomas the Tank Engine meets the race car Ace, which I'm pretty sure we all know in the story pub because we've seen like the trailers and stuff. And don't worry, there's not going to be any spoilers. I'm just going to tell you my thoughts on it and all. So, Big World Big Adventures. Yes, Big World Big Adventures. Yeah, I was like, which movie am I talking about? But yes, Big World Big Adventures. So, what I loved about Big World Big Adventures is the soundtrack's pretty nice, and there's some great characters that were introduced in this film that I liked, which are like Nia, Ace, Bo, and yeah, all those new characters in this film and some cameo ones look pretty cool. And there were some characters that were introduced that have returned for Big World Big Adventures that you've seen in the Great Race, like Young Bao, and there was a few of the cameo ones from the recent Thomas and Friends movies with Joseph May as Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah. So, Big World Big Adventures. I thought it was pretty amazing, and the story plot was pretty good, and to be honest, I think it was better than Journey Beyond Sutter. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Journey Beyond Sutter. I like that film, but I think Big World Big Adventures was pretty amazing because I loved how Thomas went around the world, and oh yes, the plot. So, Ace encourages Thomas to be the first railway engine to go around the world, and there was 5 continents like Kenya and well, I'm not gonna say all the 5 continents. Anyways, so along the way, Thomas meets a new engine called Nia, and she wants to see the world too. So, but Thomas wanted to be the first railway engine to go all the way around the world. And of course, Sir Topham Hatt tries to find Thomas. So yeah, and overall, I thought Big World Big Adventures was pretty good, and it was a good way to start this first major reboot. Since, well, when I saw on the Wikipedia, it showed like the Big World Big Adventures, the series, which is season 22, is gonna be the first major reboot since the show switched to CGI in the 13th season. So, anyways, Big World Big Adventures, I am gonna rank it. I think I'll rank it at number 4 because I think it was really, really amazing, and I heard it was on Nick Jr. in America. And plus, I want to also talk about the releases of Big World Big Adventures in other countries, and yeah. So for DVD, UK and Australia is getting the DVD release, and yeah, I saw on eBay there was the Australia DVD, and on November 2018, UK is getting the DVD treatment, and plus, the UK and Australia, all I'm seeing is just DVD, no digital download movie whatsoever. And as for America, it has now been released on Nick Jr. It was released yesterday and was released at 5 a.m. this morning, and so I had to put it on record so I could watch it again. And I saw for next week, which is on a Thursday, says it's going to be arriving at 6 p.m. So parents, if you have a cable and you have Nick Jr., then if your kids want to see the new Thomas film, then go and put it on record if you have cable and Nick Jr. or Nickelodeon, whatever. So yeah, and plus the big upset that I saw on Wikipedia or on Twitter is that there's not gonna be a Thomas and Friends DVD release for America, which is pretty a shame. And plus, first when I heard that season 22 is going to be released on Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu, that's what I saw on the Wikipedia. And I hope they, it would be awesome if they did the same thing, like to Big World Big Adventures, the movie, just have it released on Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu, so I could watch it like over and over again instead of have to wait for cable to release it on Nick Jr. So yeah. So anyways, back to Trackmaster Fun, and that's been, yeah, I reviewed all the Thomas and Friends movies. So, let's see, what time? Let's see, 48. So I think we're going to end in like 50 minutes or more. How about we'll have like the whole Steam team, so in no particular order. And we're gonna have Gordon. Uh-oh. 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 And so, after I'm done with this live stream, I think sometime around this month, I'm gonna rewatch one of my favorites, and that would be Thomas and the Magic Road. Yes, because I think this one's my favorite Thomas movie out of the rest because I really love this one, and I didn't explain much earlier. My bad. So, yeah, what I loved about Thomas and the Magic Road, I think it's pretty amazing, and I think they did a great job with this film. Yeah. This is a film I could watch like over and over again, just fascinated by it. And what I also loved about Thomas and the Magic Railroad is the combination of, like I had, of course, the Thomas Tank Kitchen series, and then the spin-off series, Shining Time Station, which used to be on PBS Kids back in the 90s. So yeah. So sometime around this month, I will definitely watch this movie. Yeah. Well, I think that's going to do it for now. So, this has been my Thomas and Friends, Trackmaster Engines, and Big World Big Adventures movie thoughts on the movie review, and other Thomas movies. So, see you next time, everybody. Bye. I am signing off.